I want to welcome you on stage. Julian Mollema, he's the co-founder of Analogue, together with Johann, also designer at Analogue. They're going to be talking about one of their success stories. I'm super excited about that. Welcome.
Sorry. Which one, left or right?
Huh?
Left or right?
This is it? Which one?
Which one?
I don't know.
There are two remotes. Which one?
Doesn't it? Hello guys. We're Analogue, and today we're going to talk about how to create 500,000 campaign for only a 30K budget. And hopefully you've seen the screens. Can anyone guess which client that was? Yeah, it was pretty obvious, I guess. It was Suitsupply. And there were a couple of things that we did not do during that shoot. We definitely did not go to Dubai to chill with the camel. We didn't sit on a goat in the Alps. And we definitely did not hurt any animals during that shoot. And actually, if you would have done this in a normal, traditional way, it would have cost around like half a million euros. But in our case, it was a bit more cheap, only 30K. And today we're going to talk about that. But before we start, I'd like to introduce ourselves. I'm Julian. I'm the creative director and founder of Analogue.
I am Johann Schnettker. I'm a senior designer also working at Analogue. Yeah.
So over the years, we worked for many D2C brands. And in the past, also at other agencies, we won some awards, also including ecommerce of the year. Hopefully that will give us a bit of credit for today. And I know it's almost there, you know, like it's been a long day. I'm only going to talk about 3 small things today. First of, why did we do this? Secondly, how did we do this? And thirdly, how can you apply this way of working to any D2C brands? So we start with the why. Well, of course, it's cheaper, and it is obviously nice not to spend that much money, but it also has a deeper meaning. So today has been about that people buy stories and not products. And studies have shown that this is actually the case because 95% of shopping behavior is actually based on emotion. And a good question is, how do you tap into that emotion? And I'm going to grab something to show a sample. Well, here I have a microphone. You can put this in the trash and it's worth nothing. And this is actually a quote by Virgil Abloh. But if you would put this into a museum, it would look like it's worth a lot of money. And that's what we're all about at Analogue. We're about creating that world around the product, so it adds value. So, how do you do that? Well, you start with qualitative content. In the past, we worked at the other agency on a client which is called Mammoet. I don't know if you know this brand. It's an outdoor brand, and they asked us to redo the entire .com. And one of the things that stood out, what we did is really look at, you know, how can we make the photography look really qualitative? Because this is how they originally shot their shoes and how they put this on their website. And we thought, well, we can do this a lot better. So we went to Switzerland. We sat there in the studio for a week to set up the perfect light situation. And in the end, something like this came out. Well, personally, I would buy something like this over the other one. Same goes for the airbags. So what they also create is like backpacks with an airbag, and this will save you from an avalanche, so it will keep you afloat. with the mannequin and like this is how they presented it in the past on their website. But now it looks like this. Yeah, that's a huge difference. And yeah, in the end, we have some results. But before we get to that, we also did is create a world around the product. So as you can see here, we have the same shoe, but we always showed kind of like it in situation, in action with someone who's actually ice climbing with that shoe to really create the world around that product. Same goes, for example, with the bag. We show someone going outdoor with that bag on the product detail page, and that just creates a story around the product. We have some results on like how did this made a difference for shopping behavior. And one thing that stood out was the full price sales. So I'm going to do a guessing game. We have a little gift for someone who guessed it right. And yeah, what's in there is a big secret. But there was an increase in full price sales. And you guys can guess the percentage of the increase. So not all at the same time, but 20%. 70? 60. 60?
32.
25. No.
146. 180.
No. No. But I think you were really close. It was 30%.
You said it.
Oh.
You said it. You said 32. You were the closest. So what you get is this cap, Analogue cap. You get it.
So for us, it was pretty interesting that, what something like this simple of like making a beautiful product shot can do for your products online. So we've talked about quality content, but how do you do that in abundance? Well, I'm going to say the dirty word. It's with AI. And so Johann is going to tell how we did this shoot for Suitsupply with AI.
Yes, I'm going to go really deep into the nitty-gritty, all the work we've done to create this whole campaign. So let me get into it. This whole project came in 3 phases. I'm going to start with phase 1, so you kind of know where we are. Phase 1 was inspiration and concepting. So when we want to come up with a campaign, we start with an idea, but that idea doesn't come just out of your mind, because you need to have like kind of a starting point for creativity. So we gather references, we gather inspiration, and this is actually the fun part, where we try to create like the craziest campaign we can think of. So I hope you can see this. This is a couple of these crazy ideas we came up with. I'm going to walk you through like a little bit of them. Here we have like these models. They're flying over the clouds in the Alps in these crazy snowmobiles. They're flying. Here we have some crazy cars. They're doing some backflips, jumping over the cars. Next one, there's UFOs, planes, also everything chrome, of course. We have crazy animals, big animals, super furry, super fluffy, because the idea is the suits are made out of the fur from these animals. We have these space-age cars, very colorful, super themed, and then scenes with like 1,000 of these animals, like polar bears. You would never encounter so many of them. So we really try to like come up with the craziest ideas, like you would only have in a fever dream. You wake up, you think like, what happened? So that was kind of the starting point. And we use Midjourney for this stuff. It's a it's a generative program to generate imagery from a sentence, basically. So I put one on the screen, and I'm going to read it for you. It's going to sound a bit crazy. So, close-up photo of gigantic furry soft camel running and jumping with manly Suitsupply model in Kelly Weirster interior, bright daylight and God rays, Portra 400 dramatic photography style. This is the quote, and I'm going to break it down for you a bit. So we put in Kelly Weirster in there because we really like the interior, and that's also what stood out in the inspiration phase, where we came from, that we like this kind of brownish, old interior, because it really resonates with what Suitsupply has also done before, because they always have this dramatic, oldish style. Next up, we have an analog camera store, so we're really close to film photography, and we also pull that reference and put it in here. We put God rays because it's so surreal, right? This whole campaign has a kind of surreal vibe to it. So we want the God rays, we want the Portra 400 look. That's just a film type. We have that reference, so we put it in there in the prompt. And next up, this is what the AI generated from this prompt. You kind of see all the references in there, like the old-ish looking interior, this dramatic feeling, right? And the film look, everything has kind of this brown color tone to it. But it takes a lot of trial and error, I'm also saying that. Next up, I have another one for you, because we also saw some cars and stuff, so let me break this down for you. So I'm going to read it. Suitsupply model doing a backflip and surfing on top of an airborne futuristic green leather mahogany space-age flying car with turbines in snowy Alps. The image should have a dreamy feel in style of Wes Anderson, sunny day, motion blur. And these prompts, they sound so weird, they sound so random, because you work on them for like a couple hours at a time, like one concept you work on the whole day, and you just add and remove words to get where you want to go. So that's why it sounds a bit like keywords, like you would find in like a SEO optimized website. I'm going to break it down again. We have those airborne futuristic vehicles from the space age time, and that's just a reference we also saw because we wanted to go so crazy when we were planning this thing. And we saw these space age kind of vehicles, and that's something we want to include. The snowy, dreamy Alps, we went on ArtStation and all this like digital artists. They always they make landscapes, but it's always so dreamy. Also kind of where we want to go from the inspiration phase, we put it in the prompt. Also Wes Anderson, these color-coded scenes, right, could be very cool for a campaign. Also just pulled it from the reference library. And this is what the AI generated from it. You see the crazy car, you see the model jumping, there's a plane. Everything that we told it to, it put in the image. So where I'm going with this is really know your references. Look at a lot of stuff in your life, a lot of campaigns. If you want to make good stuff, you need to see good stuff to make it yourself, right? And it just doesn't come like that. In the last 6 months, I think, we made over 100,000 AI visuals, 100,000 prompts, because you always adjust. You always like take it to another level, like give it another prompt, adjust it a bit, get it closer to what you envision. Okay, we're going to come to phase 2. We have the concept and the visuals in mind. Now we dial it down. We actually built the campaign. So what we pitched to Suitsupply were these initial favorites. It's this really old interior, like we had in the concepts at first, and these furry animals and these like surreal scenes. They liked this, and from there we took it a step further. For the whole campaign, we made a couple key visuals, just improving on what we already had, because there's so much play in AI. You can just make anything you want. So we came up with a couple key visuals with the animals, of course, and these interiors, and the suits, of course. And then we categorized it for them to choose a bit like more detailed. And it's what I see a lot with AI is that people just make stuff and they make a campaign, but every image looks different because AI just is so creative. It doesn't have like a cohesive train of thought. So that's really something you got to watch out for when you make this kind of stuff. Have a cohesive theme throughout your images. Here we have the moody luxury. Before it was kind of Scandinavian style. In-action shots, also kind of cool, where you just add like these keywords, like motion, fighting, like intensity, and it makes something like this for you. But then there's also this miscellaneous section, which is kind of what you want to avoid, because the client looks at this and it's like, there's not a clear concept, there's not a clear color theme. It's just all a bit too random if you just put everything, give everything to the client and show him everything. But you thought this was it. But this is where actually the real work starts for me. Phase 3. Production. Because it's a suit brand, right? You want the real product in the photo. It can't be just a random gray suit. It needs to be the Suitsupply suit of that season. So that's where we put the real model in the fake AI scene. We had a shoot, starts out with perspective and lighting. We looked at these visuals, we really analyzed them and pulled everything we could out of these images, tried to rebuild it in the studio. We had like this crane and tried to really fine-tune the perspective, and we had a team of lighting specialists. They rebuilt the whole scene, like the sun is here and then there's a bounce light there. And we also, from these images, used a program, it's called F-Spy, extrapolated the lens that AI used to create that image. And then they took all the images, we had the model, we had some props on the shoot, and I had to sit there, cut out the model super quick, put them in the image, see if it works. Then we do some fine-tuning until we have the perfect lighting, perfect pose and angle of the photographer. So this is some of the shots. But this is actually a really valuable step, because you can see what works, what doesn't work, like especially in the bottom left, this running pose, it's quite hard to get right. So this live photoshopping really gave us the opportunity to fine-tune also, like, does he have the hand on the car or behind? Or like, how does he sit? Does he lean back, lean forward? And there were some funny moments to getting the pose right, especially in these action scenes, like you have to run, and there's so much randomness, it's really hard to get it right. So we tried with the model. Another big chunk of work was the post-production. I spent a week in Photoshop trying to get this right. Photographer was like, I just mailed you the photos. I checked my email, there was nothing. Then I checked the mailbox, there was a hard drive. They sent me 150 gigabytes of these huge photos. They were like 6, 7K. And what Midjourney makes is 1K, 1,000 pixels by 1,000 pixels. So what's the solution? AI. So you've probably seen movies where they say enhance. It just got real over the last year. I used a program called Gigapixel, and we increased the resolution by 6-fold with this. And it works super well with AI visuals, because they're generated by AI. So if you upscale them with AI, it still looks pretty good. With normal photos, it sometimes goes a bit wrong. So then it came to the photoshopping work. First, I had to take out the model, right? And then place in the real model. Where also, Photoshop did a big leap. They introduced all the generative stuff. So removing their model was actually not that hard, also with AI. So it can like speed things up a bit in my workflow. But still, it was about 100 layers per photo. We made about like 12 photos, 12 campaign shots, I think. So it was quite a lot of work. But let me show you the results. So these are some of the results. Here, of course, we went to the desert, right? We got the huge alpaca, made the model right on it with the suit, of course, on. Of course, we also had like a super flat sheep in the house. And tamed some alpacas in the desert. They modeled, of course, with us. We rode on some goats as well. And then how did we get there? Of course, we got the space age helicopter, flew there, right? This is a shot of us flying there. And yeah, we posed also a bit with the cars. So that's it.
We're not there yet.
That's how we made it.
Yeah, we're almost there.
But let me just tell you,
Yeah.
we have 6 minutes left. Let me just tell you how to apply it to your own brand. This is actually where the magic happens.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, so this is how we made... Oh, whoa. Cool. We're there, yeah. Yeah, so we have 3 tastes of using AI. And yeah, so everything stopped.
You can tell it. You can tell it, no?
Yeah. So you have 3 tastes of using AI for your D2C brand. And so the first way is using it full AI, where you don't have to use it's nice to use if you don't have any products in your photos. And I would love to show it now, but obviously the screen doesn't work. The second taste is using a hybrid version, so just as for Suitsupply. So which means you create a world and then you Photoshop kind of your product in. And then the third way is using AI for concepting. So what we've done also is kind of created like a POS idea for a client called Atomic. So we created kind of like these sea containers where you could shop from high up in the mountains. Cannot show it, but it's really beautiful if you believe me. And yeah, that's it. Look, here we are. Well, yeah, so full AI. This is something we did in the past. So for a beauty brand where we could show the product being used, but not show the product itself. And this is great for AI because you can just push a lot of ideas out, and you can actually use them because we as creators have the license to use them. It's our rights. And for example, what we also did is like add additional photos to a campaign, so kind of like BTS shots, just to populate the campaign a little bit more with visuals. But what's also great to use is for food, because AI is great at making imperfect visuals, where food is always imperfect. But also a funny way, we have our own little D2C brand. We have a camera shop, and what we've done is created kind of like these mini visuals for every email you would receive in your mailbox, just to make it a bit more interesting and to, like make it fun to look at when you receive an email. Yeah. So the second way of using AI, that's like how we did it for Suitsupply. And then the last way, this is what I've talked about, like showing it, showing concepts. For example, here the sea container. We also did some more interior ideas for Atomic, where we used kind of like this rack system, where they could you put their products in. And that's it. Thank you. And so if you want to do any AI project with us, here's a link. I hope it's big enough. You can scan it and you can get into a call with me. You can also make it a bit harder. It's up to you. So any questions?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Question. If you go full AI, do you have the rights? And because there's stories, and I think in the US they're starting to say, like, if it's fully generated, then everyone can use it. I can imagine with a hybrid, you have the rights.
You also, with full AI, you have the rights, but you need to have a certain account. For example, at the program we use, Midjourney. So you have kind of like the pro account, and then it's your right. So you can use it for your projects.
And then no one else can reuse it?
No.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hi. First of all, great presentation, really inspirational. I have a question regarding maybe if you could walk us through the process. How did you convince like a brand like Suitsupply to take a new approach when it comes to campaign and production? Generative AI is pretty new, and I was wondering if you had any roadblocks and how did you get the buy-in?
Well, actually, they came to us for an AI. So like we pushed out some ideas on our social channels that we starting to get into this because this is all quite new, and they contacted us and said like, hey, we want to do something with AI. That's how the ball got rolling.
That's cool.
And well, you can do those crazy ideas of going to the Arctic, which is normally so expensive. Now we can kind of do it for cheap.
And one thing we also do is just we pitch a lot. So when we design a website, we also pitch an idea to how to do the product photography or kind of like how to do additional photos on your platform, and that's also how we get into creating those visuals.
Thank you.
You had a question?
Yeah. So the photography part that's been done in the middle, was that also Carly MRS again?
No.
For this particular shoot, not. It was another photographer, and he was really keen to try it out because it was also his first time to do this.
Yeah, okay. I was just thinking about the 30,000, how you managed that, but thank you.
What about video?
Not possible.
And
maybe in the future, or?
It's difficult. We did not get any results that we quite like yet. But it goes so fast with AI. So maybe tomorrow something comes out where it's awesome, and then we're gonna definitely use it.
There's a question.
Over there.
Yeah, so I have a question more for the practical side of Midjourney. I use it a little bit to create illustrations, but the big issue for me is what you said, the cohesive side. And I was really impressed when I see how cohesive the campaign looked. So how concretely do you make it cohesive? With edits then on Photoshop, or are you super precise on prompts and use the same prompts? How do you do?
It's hard to find the balance between a super complicated prompt and a very loose prompt. Mostly I start with a pretty loose prompt, and that gives mostly the best results because you give the AI a lot of creative freedom, and then somehow it makes something really beautiful. But eventually you need to really narrow it down and make them pretty long, and give it also precise style guide. Maybe a photographer that you like and you put that in, and the interior, and really give it as much information as you can to get the same look. And also keywords for looks can really help, like Portrait 400, God Rays, and then you always get God Rays, Portrait 400. Looks the same.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's it.
That's it.
Ready for the drinks?